Good morning. It's KCHW 102.7. Looking at 8:06 following the I guess, world news. You've got Scott Allen and Mr. Brandon Hansen from the Chihuahua Independent. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning. How you doing, Scott?
Good. Glad to have you on remote. Where are you at today? Are you at the newspaper or are you at home this morning?
I am at the Butcher Block studios right now.
All right. Very nice. Real quick, me and Brandon are going to do some news this morning on kind of our typical Rocket Out Friday. I talked to Brandon yesterday, and he says, I've got a whole bunch of news we need to get out to people. So we're going to have an hour broadcast this morning, and then we'll get Brandon off to work, and we're going to cover some news headlines and some local stuff as well. We've got some global stuff to talk about, too. Real quick, though, let's roll into that weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be a nice day. We're going to reach all the way up to 66, 45 for an overnight low. Tomorrow we'll change it up, 58 and 37, a big drop, and a 40% chance of some much-needed showers. Then switcheroo, Sunday, back to sunny skies, 67 and 40. A little warmer, Monday, mostly sunny, 71, looking very nice.
Yeah, it's doing that, one day it's spring and then one day it's summer kind of deal.
Yeah. So this morning we have some feeds, some global feeds that we're running between 4 and 7, some news feeds, and one of them this morning was from Ireland, and they're not calling it lockdown, they're not calling it safe at home or anything like that. They're calling it cocooning. I kind of like that.
Cocooning?
Cocooning, like a caterpillar in a cocoon.
Well, that's one way to say it. That sounds a little bit nicer.
It does. It puts a little fuzz on it, I guess. It makes it all nice, warm, and soft.
And it'll eventually turn into a butterfly, so we'll be good.
That's right. Things looking kind of, when you listen to the news headlines out there, like we've got countries extending lockdowns and all sorts of stuff. Kind of scary out there. I know you have a bunch of stuff you want to cover today. Where do you want to start, Brandon?
Let's just start with some of the local stuff in terms of, stuff we've been reporting on our Facebook page and whatnot here. But I do want to announce that Northeast Tri-County Health District yesterday received their second positive test in Ponderay County, and they released that on their Facebook, yesterday. We're getting a few cases up here. I think Stevens County still has the most out of all, the three counties up here with 7, and Stevens County also had one person pass away from it there. Also, I do kind of want to point out, this was brought to our attention, scammers are out there, and what they are doing are sending texts that say, someone who came in contact with you tested positive for COVID, you need to go to this link. And it's scammers kind of deal. So you know how that goes. You get like a fake email in your inbox. You click on the link, and then all of a sudden your computer doesn't work anymore. So just be aware of that.
Okay.
And there's a few other things. Now, last Friday they put in a burn ban. For the eastern part of the state. I'm hearing that some of the regulations may change a little bit, but the burn ban's still on. And what people struggle with this, like, what does a burn ban mean? Now, if you have an approved fire pit, or it's a little 2x2 little campfire in your yard, which is property you kind of oversee, you can do that. But any burning, slash pile or anything larger than a little personal campfire in your yard is not allowed in the county. And I was walking around town yesterday, and boy, the grass is dry. Everything's really dry. We haven't had a really wet spring, and the wind's really popped up. You know what I mean? We've had a few windy days, and that dries things out too. And this is hard for our first responders, our fire departments, because they are having to do extra things because of this quarantine, and their resources are kind of stretched thin. So Do we really want them, responding to your slash pile or something like that? We've already seen a few brush fires get out of control so far, and it's only April right now, so this is something. I had some people ask about campfires, and can I do this? And it's just like, not really. We have the burn ban, and then you also have to consider the stay-at-home order. So these are two things that can make somebody, a first responder that has to, respond to your thing. Those are two things they can kind of ding you on there. So I would just recommend not going on that a camping trip there.
Well, and even, just realize if you do even have a backyard fire, what you're saying, a regular campfire in your backyard, that's okay. But just realize that if you were to do something foolish and start a fire, you are responsible for that. It comes back to you. They passed a law. It even can fall back on your children. So, you got to be careful when those burn bans are on. Well, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get it. The weather around it's been a dry spring, and it's been windy, and we've already seen kind of fires pop up there. So.
Now, that burn ban, is it? Did you know if it was all of the eastern Washington counties, or is it just Stevens County?
It's for the eastern part of the state there.
Okay, good deal. All right.
And then we kind of reported on this yesterday. It's from our friends over at the Centralia Chronicle. But a group of conservative activists will they're actually protesting the stay-at-home order at the Washington State Capitol this weekend. The event is called Hazardous Liberty Defend the Constitution, and they'll be at the Capitol on April 19th from 1 to 2 p.m., and this is put on. The event's organizer is Tyler Miller from the Kitsap County Republican Party. So what they are doing are protesting, the stay-at-home order, and, they say it infringes on the public's right to gather there. So that is something that's going to go on this weekend at the state capitol.
And we're seeing those pop up in different places and different countries. And what I've seen in the news so far is people that are showing up for those things are pretty much promptly arrested.
Well, you could get hit with a few things there. I haven't seen it here in the States. They've mostly just been allowed to do their protests. I did see the one in Michigan, which included quite a few people. The only issue, and perhaps something that they really need to address, is that there's so many people protesting that it blocked ambulances trying to go to the hospital.
I heard that.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue there. So
definitely, you can't be impeding that stuff.
Correct there. So, those are some just local kind of COVID stories there. If we want to kind of talk about some effects, the state jobless benefits went up to $272 million handed out as more than 500,000 people have applied for unemployment since this entire thing kind of kicked off. So on March 7th, before our kind of stay-at-home thing really took hold and businesses were told to close, we had about 66,000 jobless claims. That is now up to 585,000 on April 11th, or the week that ends in April 11th. That's the total jobless claims. Now, week by week, the jobless claims went up from 6,000 a week all the way up to 181,000. Now that's kind of dropped down to 143,000 jobless claims in the week that ended in April 11th. So you're seeing the effects of this slowdown, and the biggest hit are manufacturing and construction. And I know that they're trying to get construction open back up. They feel that's kind of essential, and construction guys aren't they're not gathering in gigantic groups. So that is something that I could certainly see some legislation or the governor kind of loosen that up there.
Yeah, there's some things of that, and I won't complain about them again because I've done it a bunch of that. I just scratched my head as, why is this okay and this isn't? But yeah.
Yeah, it really is a kind of a tough go there. And, but I'm glad that you're kind of asking those questions, Scott. because we do. We shouldn't just blindly just be like, yeah, this is okay. We should ask, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And frankly, the government should answer, and that's why you have the press conferences. That's why you have the reporters there, just to be like, hey, Governor, why did you do this? What's the reasoning behind this? I know a lot of people kind of disagree with hunting and fishing being kind of canceled by Fish and Wildlife. And, I'd send them an email, and their kind of talk is, hey, a lot of people travel to fish and hunt. They don't, they don't stay in one place. So we'd see a bunch of people moving around because guess what? All these people, they have more free time. But I would imagine, if this goes on further, they're going to have to loosen those requirements because people would, want to fish and want to hunt just to have a little extra meat in the freezer there.
Sure. Yeah, and out on the roads, going back and forth between Kettle and Chewelah for work here at the radio station, traffic doesn't seem any different, dude. I mean, maybe
it certainly picked up.
Maybe a little lighter. Than normal times, but even when this first started out, it died off a little for a few days. The nice weather came out, and people were everywhere. I'm seeing so much traffic on the roads. Like this morning, I'm like, all these people can't be going to work, but maybe they are. So
yeah, I've noticed it dropped off for a while there, and now it feels like it's picked up a bit. It's not normal traffic because I remember normal traffic and just how that kind of goes there. It's kind of hard to cross the road when we have normal traffic. So, but I will definitely say traffic has picked up since this started here.
It just kind of has concerned me in the back of the head that if people aren't trying hard enough and things got worse, it looks like we're doing okay for now, but that the governor might, impose stricter rules and that kind of stuff, and I'm glad that hasn't happened. So.
Yeah, and this is a tough go if we want to do our most up-to-date in terms of what things are looking like right now. Just let's look at Washington. Cases of COVID, over 11,000 cases, 583 deaths. And, Washington's one of the best states in terms of how they handled it. We were one of the first states to get it and did the lockdown, and now we have been surpassed by a lot of other states in terms of cases and deaths. So we're kind of doing our part to slow that curve, and it's working so far. But now you have questions about the economy, and you have to ask, how long can we keep things closed down? Eventually, people are going to have to go back to work. They're going to have to make money, and they're going to have to feed themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and trying to get the country back to work, a lot of stuff going on there, too, just with the president. I thought it was kind of cute yesterday. He was talking about it and how certain states that haven't been hit hard, they're going to try to do this, slow rollout of getting things going on again. And he said opening the border with Canada, reopening the border. And the Prime Minister of Canada quickly came back and said, well, you can open your side, but you're way too infected. We're not opening ours.
Right. I mean, Canada's a different story in terms of how their population is dispersed and things like that. So I can see why they want to keep the border closed there. So no, it's going to be a lot of things to slowly reopen. This isn't going to be like flipping a light switch.
Have you noticed any other things that stand out as different here in Stevens County or even Chewelah?
Everybody's starting to look like they belong in the 70s because nobody can get a haircut. That's one of the issues. The other issue is it seems like if you run across somebody you know, you haven't seen them in such a long time, you want to talk with them, but you're both doing this standoff where you're about 6 feet away talking to each other. So it's just kind of humorous to me. I'll have conversations with people while standing about 10 feet apart. It just cracks me up. We're not normal talking distance apart. We're like kind of nervous to be next to each other kind of deal.
You see a lot of people talking in cars, too. And I was outside the station last week, and a friend saw me and pulled into the alley, and we were doing the 6 feet thing. But I noticed, about 3/4 of the way of the conversation, I had moved all the way up to his car. And I was like, back up. Just out of habit, just getting into our conversation and not paying attention. All of a sudden, I realized I'm 3 feet away from him. Oops. Yeah.
Right. And another thing is I'm noticing an O-burger sounds really good right now.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm really starting to eat out a little bit more, see what, some of the local businesses have and stuff, because kind of missing being able to go get a burger, go get this. And, they're all doing takeouts and things like that. So I'd highly recommend that, that you do continue to support these businesses.
Yes, definitely, because even though they're open, they're still having a hard time, too, and things are different for them. So remember that shop local and support those businesses that are essential and able to be open. That's very, very important for our local community and those people that are still working, and those of us that aren't working and getting the unemployment. Remember, they're still going to work every day. Yeah, tough stuff.
And kind of talking about that, the stimulus checks, those are really starting to hit bank accounts now. I think Forbes reported most Americans will receive their stimulus check by today. I know I've already got my stimulus check there. This is for mostly people that filed tax returns in 2018 and 2019. So they'll be able to, they'll be able to get it kind of direct deposited into their bank account there. So you don't get the check in the mail, so to speak. It just gets put in your bank account.
So now you've actually gotten yours, because on Wednesday when they rolled them out, there was millions of checks that went into the wrong bank accounts with the wrong bank account numbers that got set out, and they had a big snafu, and they were working to get it corrected. So if you got yours, they must have got it all straightened out.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have somebody else's stimulus money. I already bought a jet ski, so.
Well, they'll fix it out. You were going to get it anyways. I want to throw this out because I have had two friends that haven't done income tax returns for 2018 or 2019. And they were unaware of the non-filers form. And I want to talk about this because if you go to the IRS.gov, they've got this new form. It's for non-filers. So if you haven't filed taxes in a few years, you can do a quick tax return. And let's say your income was zero for last year. You just go ahead and file zero, and you're still going to get your stimulus check. They're trying to get these to everybody. And I had some friends that weren't aware of this. They still thought they couldn't file. Now, here's the other thing. The non-filers website is horribly broken, okay? If you stop your process, it will not let you come in. It'll tell you your password's no good, and you have to go through the re-sign up password process, and you're going to have to do it twice because it does it weird. The first time it says you're supposed to put in something that you don't have. And then the second time you do it, it comes back around and says, okay, give us your email address, and then you can get reset up. When you first do the account setup and you sign up for this, because I helped a friend who wasn't internet savvy. When you first go in and you set up your account and you choose your password and you go to log in, right there, it's going to tell you your password's no good. And you're going to have to start that step just to get into the account to do it the first time. Just keep trying. Don't get discouraged. If you're older and you are getting discouraged, find someone that's a little bit computer savvy. You can get through it. I think we had to do, because we didn't have some information that we needed, I think it was because they'll let you put it in your routing number and have it direct deposited, and they were unsure about one number on their bank account, so we had to wait and then come back in the next day and go through it all over again. So just don't get frustrated. But I imagine once they fired up that website, they've got millions of apps coming through, and they can't shut it down. But it's got to be frustrating, people. So beware. If you get there and it's still doing it, don't give up. Keep trying. It will go through. And I've had two friends that didn't even know about that get signed up now to get their $1,200. So share that information, too.
Yeah, and we also have that link on our website if you just want to go to ChuilaIndependent.com, or you can just go to the IRS website. But we do have a story with a link to that web tool so you can register for your stimulus payment there. So yeah, check it out there.
All right, and a little applause for the Chula Independent. You got a great virus page. We've been sending everybody there. There you go. All right.
Yeah, that info seems to always change, so we're trying our best, but it gets a little hairy with how quick things kind of change from week to week there. So.
Well, and so a lot of businesses could apply for that $10,000 SBA loan. A lot of other loans out there. I know the government had the governor had a program. I've heard that ran out of money. News headline today that the stimulus package is empty. So if you're waiting on the $10,000 loan for your business, it might not be happening. We were hoping for that for the radio station. I got an application in early, and I got a confirmation number, but I've never heard anything. And it was supposed to be kind of direct deposited stuff, and we never got it. And now headlines today is the money's all gone. So.
Yeah, that's just a lot of requests. I'm sure a lot of small businesses applied because basically the whole country shut down. So we'll see how this goes, and I would imagine there's going to be some more stimulus bills getting passed down the line.
And hopefully they'll update us that it would seem that the people that have already got their applications in would be in line, when new money became available, we would hope. So, yeah.
Yes, and some banks are doing loans, and also something like I think even Facebook is doing a small business grant that you can apply for. So there are some resources out there, but like you said, it had been better to hop on that early and kind of get signed up for that as early as possible.
Yeah. All right, so I've had some requests from people. I'm just talking locally, too. Did you get yours? Has yours come in? And nobody's got any lucky money there, so that's kind of sad. All right.
Right. And it's going to take a while to process and all that kind of stuff, so we'll just we'll see how this goes in terms of I think these next 2 months will be interesting with what the government decides to do and how businesses kind of make it through.
All right. Do you have anything else there, Brandon? I'm waiting for a page to open, and I got some goodies to throw up, but maybe you can fill me there.
I got some good news.
Okay.
So Jake Jenneret, he's been in the radio studio a few times.
Yes, he has.
Quarterback for Chula, and he's a state championship wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, last night KXLY awarded him the Jace Malik Award for toughness. I did a big feature on him. Jake, we did write a story on this. He was born with a brachial plexus, which is kind of like nerve damage to his left arm. And, they kind of had to do muscle transfer surgery just to kind of give him some range of motion in that arm. But, we all saw him out on the football field. It didn't slow him down at all, and it didn't slow him down in wrestling kind of deal. And he also is a good baseball player there. And, KXLY did a big feature on him and gave him this award for what he was able to do, what he's been able to do through the years. He's kind of broke some records as Chula's quarterback. He can really sling the ball out there and stuff. So, they did a big kind of news feature on him last night, and just congrats to Jake for winning the Jace Malik Award for toughness.
Excellent. Do you know if they happen to post that on their web as like an extra video on their website or anything by chance?
Yes, definitely. If you go to KXLY, it's on there. So if you want to go watch it and check it out, and we'll be posting on our Facebook too.
Excellent. All right, Brandon. I am still having problems with my computer page. I opened up too many windows with Trump stories on them, and it locked up Firefox.
See, there you go.
All right. So I give that a rest here for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and roll out our birthday for today. She's a hard worker for the Chula Arts Guild. She's a great lady. She was my school teacher. Happy birthday to Kay Lupton. All right, for Saturday, absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, huh?
Absolutely nothing. And then for Sunday, we have Alex Belltown and Gavin Parrott. Then on Monday, let's see, Becca Bennett, Devin Durham, and Colby Dollar having birthdays. You know, I said this before, too. We are going, and since this is continuing longer than maybe anybody hoped or thought, we are going to have the biggest baby boom ever.
That could happen there.
I think 9 months from now, Chihuahua might even have to start because we used to have babies born here at St. Joseph's. I think they might have to fire that back up again. It's just a prediction.
Yeah, might have to open that back up with how things are going there.
It's just a prediction. It's also the largest transfer of wealth in American history. Now that was supposed to happen for the baby boomers as their parents passed away. But the economy kind of changed that. I don't think it ended up being as big as it was supposed to be. But they say this is going to be huge with all the people we've lost due to COVID-19. All right.
Oh, I get what you mean. So money that they have saved up and that gets transferred to
tons of inheritances, especially with the way this takes the 80-plus crowd. Now there is one story that maybe can give you that was on the in the news about a lady. 106 years old. She's a great grandmother in the UK. She beat coronavirus. 3 weeks after testing positive for COVID-19, Connie Titchen was discharged from Birmingham City Hospital. Titchen, who was born in September 1913 and has lived through 2 world wars, was admitted in mid-March with suspected pneumonia. She was diagnosed with coronavirus soon afterwards, and she's recovered. Very nice.
Well, that's some good news.
She must have. I want to know what she eats. She must have a great constitution.
Right. She's probably healthy, has a great immune system there. So, that's fantastic there.
So I have some good news for you, Brandon. All right.
Well, throw it at me.
Well, I know this has probably put a wrinkle in, or at least worries of wrinkles in your marriage, in your upcoming nuptials.
Yes.
So there is some good news for you, but you have to like Busch beer.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Okay. Has your wedding been postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic? If so, Busch Beer wants to give you free beer for an entire year. Here's how it works. Post a photo of you and Morgan, explain how you're planning to commemorate the big day when it eventually arrives, and use the hashtags hashtag Busch Wedding Gift and hashtag sweepstakes. Contest ends at 1 minute before midnight on May 1st. 250 winners are going to be selected for free beer for a year on May 2nd. Beer Company says those who aren't looking to get married can take a friend and use hashtag MyFriend'sWedding and hashtag sweepstakes for a chance to win Busch merchandise. Those 50 winners will be selected on May 2nd as well. So giving us some fun stuff while we're stuck at home cocooning.
Well, don't tell Morgan that she has to wear a Busch Light as a wedding dress. She may not like that.
All right, Trump White House yesterday announced a 3-phase plan to reopen the economy. Phase 1 of the Open Up America Again plan, all vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place. Social and physical distancing should be practiced still in public, and non-essential travel should be minimized. Teleworking should continue to occur where possible. Phase 2, which can only begin after a community shows no evidence of rebound or surge in new cases, would allow large venues, including sit-down dining, movie theaters, sporting venues, places of worship to operate under moderate physical distancing protocols. Schools and organized youth activities could reopen. Bars can operate with diminished standing room occupancy. Gyms can reopen with strict physical distancing and sanitation protocols. And elective surgeries would be able to resume. Phase 3 would allow for visits to senior care facilities, hospitals, gyms to reopen, and standard sanitation protocols, and bars to operate with increased standing room occupancy where applicable. The aforementioned large venues, sit-down dining, movie theaters, sporting venues, and places of worship would be able to operate with limited physical distancing protocols. The decision whether to open up business again eventually will fall to each state's governor.
Correct, yeah. And that new cases thing is kind of tough. If you look at the numbers yesterday, we confirmed 29,000 new cases in the country just yesterday. So
we are not going down by any means.
The number of new cases is kind of leveled, but we are getting, that is a lot of new cases. So.
All right. Safest place from the coronavirus in the U.S. might be a tiny town on an off-beaten path peninsula connected to Canada, south of Vancouver. 1,300 residents of Point Roberts, which is part of Washington State but not directly connected to the U.S. mainland, have not been affected by the pandemic so far. Because the U.S.-Canadian border is shut, Point Roberts is likely an island right now. The isolated...
True, because they're separated there. Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Isolated town about 135 miles northwest of Seattle may be reached by boat, flying into a single runway airport, or driving past 2 international border crossings through the southwest corner of Canada, which, well, you can't get through now. Local Fire Chief Kristen Carlton said that on a typical weekend last year, the town would see about 2,000 vehicles travel over its border, but that number has dropped below 100. Residents can still cross the border for essential travel, including for medical appointments and to pick up prescriptions, but any outsider trying to get into the town is going to have a tough time to get by the Border Patrol agents. So
they're one of the more isolated towns right now.
Yeah. A little more news on what's going on there. If you're scared about the stimulus check problem, some Americans say they haven't gotten their stimulus checks because the Fed sent the money to the wrong bank accounts. Several taxpayers tried to check the status of their payments on their Internal Revenue's website, only to discover the agency put the money in accounts they didn't recognize or didn't use anymore. IRS spokesman Julia Renner said that money will be rejected by banks and returned to the IRS. It was deposited in the wrong account. If it happens, the IRS will cut you a paper check.
All right, so you'll get a paper check sent out to you there. Okay.
Since the direct deposit thing didn't work and it was rejected. All right.
That's a little bit of a longer wait, though.
Definitely. You know, I saw at one point it said where it could be like maybe up to 2 months. So that could be really scary for some people. Facebook's soon going to let you know if you saw or interacted with the dangerous coronavirus misinformation on the site. The notice will be sent to users who have liked, reacted to, or commented on posts featuring harmful or false claims about COVID-19 after they were removed by the moderators. The alert, which will start appearing on Facebook in the coming weeks, will direct users to a site where the World Health Organization lists and debunks virus myths and rumors.
So they're going to send an email out to every single person in Stevens County? Is that what's going to happen?
Because there's been a lot of fake news?
Yes. Can I Mythbusters a lot of things right now?
Yes.
I would love to.
Go for it.
I've been sitting all week and stewing over this.
Oh, so, go for it. I've been having a problem with the crazy conspiracy theories, too. I've been getting really frustrated. So let me have it.
All right. Well, I just want to point out, and I do want to clarify, I am by no means disregarding people who are worried about our rights, as Americans, the Constitution, because this is an extraordinary measure to tell everybody to stay home. This has never happened in our country's history. This is just something that we have never seen or experienced as Americans, and all you have to do is go down through a few amendments to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and seeing that, the government really isn't supposed to do this. So I do get people that are questioning this and being like, hey, you have to explain this. And I think this causes people to get worried because, the government can't predict how this virus is going to react. So they don't know what 2 or 3 months out looks like, to be perfectly honest with you. That being said, the conspiracy theories, they really need to stop on Facebook because they aren't helping anybody, and they are kind of damaging things. The first one I want to point out right away is, and you've heard this, right, Scott? It's just the flu, right?
Yes.
Just the flu. This is actually wrong on many levels, and let me start. Most people right now say, well, the deaths in the U.S. right now are about 34,000 deaths, which is actually quite a bit. Now, people will say, oh, well, but, the flu season or something like that took 80,000 people and stuff like that. And I do want to point out the flu season, those stats are collected over a longer period of time. Our deaths from this coronavirus have been
2 months.
From, a month kind of deal. Another issue is, so the CDC, when they determine the deaths from a flu season, they are looking at the number of pneumonia deaths, respiratory, and heart issue deaths. And they do some calculations on hospitalization, surges, things like that. Meaning, so when they do say 80,000 people died from the flu, It's more of a guesstimate, and they're adding in some flu, pneumonia, respiratory issue, and heart issues, saying, that the virus caused it and whatnot there. But certainly that's not perfect. And the thing is, this research can take a couple years to actually add it back in for a flu season kind of deal. So the deaths we're seeing right now from the coronavirus are just the initial deaths that they're kind of recording kind of deal. They're going to have to go.
I just wanted to insert something too that you said there. When they're talking about flu deaths, they're talking about every flu virus for the entire season, not just one. Because you added pneumonia in there too. So I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so there's a multiple things of causing these flu season deaths, not just one singular thing. So when they kind of model that and put that back in there, they haven't done that modeling so far for this virus. So just wait till that happens. You know what I mean? So we're not going to know a real impact and a meaningful number probably until years down the road, to be actually honest with you here. So when you hear, I think somebody posted a sign that was absolutely ridiculous down at the city park saying, oh, well, look how many people died from the H1N1. And again, you can point out, hey, that happened over a year. Actually, it happened over 2 years, that H1N1 outbreak. And, we're looking at quite a few deaths in just a month. And we're also seeing this in terms of with doing social distancing. We're already, if you just count these deaths we've recorded so far, this is a bad flu season, so to speak. And this is with everybody staying home. So you can imagine what would happen if we did nothing there.
It would be really bad. And people aren't understanding the stats. People aren't understanding the stats, and I think they're going to come out a lot different. I know early on, and it was because it got into the old folks' home, but where nationally they were saying a 3% mortality rate, somewhere between 1.5% and 3% mortality rate. But in Washington is running 18.
Right.
You go into the South in some of the cities like New Orleans and stuff that are having surges right now, and especially they said black males, 44% death rate if you're over 50. That's scary. I've talked about it a bunch of times with the way I get with a chest cold with my asthma. I got in the back of my head. You got to think that way. If I catch it, I'm checking out. Because I'll be one of those. Yeah, they say there's 4 out of 5 people don't make it through intubation. I would probably be somebody with the asthma that would have to be intubated, and I'm going to sign that thing when you go in. With the DNI, do not intubate.
You're just going to call it good.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it good if it goes that far. I've had a good life. Yeah, I've lived most of my dreams. My kids are grown up. Yeah. Yeah, I just, it's scary stuff, so, yeah. All right.
Yeah, and just to break on that, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos being posted, well, this guy says it's fake, or this isn't it. And then you start to do research, and that person isn't even a doctor, or that person isn't really even somebody you should trust at all. So people stop posting YouTube clips. They're not respectable at all. Like, just stop spreading that on Facebook.
And there's so many of them claim to be scientists. There's so many of them on YouTube claim to be scientists. There's a guy on there who's, I don't know how to describe him. I guess he's like a new age guy. He does shows all the time. He's been on Gaia. His name's David Wilcock. And I watched one of his videos with a friend. And this guy's not a doctor. He's not a scientist, and makes the most ridiculous claims and telling people what to do. And even in his video, he was making claims that this was all caused by Bill Gates. That he did it and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just totally blown away. I was like, why is YouTube letting this guy spew fake news about what's going on like he's a doctor? And then the other thing is, why doesn't he actually was like talking about Bill Gates harvesting the adrenal glands of children. Go sue this guy and shut him up.
Yeah.
Shut it down there. He is a danger. He's a problem. People doing that kind of stuff. And I said it a bunch last week. If you're not a scientist, if you're not a doctor, you should probably shut up because you are not educated enough to do this. You know, you're not educated enough to tell people. You could share.
I've seen a few videos posted by a Dr. Shiva who claims to be a doctor, but he's kind of a bioengineer, not in a doctor in the doctor sense, so to speak. So it's really annoying to see somebody like that. And, you know, I notice people that put doctor in front of their name as quickly as possible and really promote that usually are questionable.
Well, see, you can have a PhD in another field, and one of them that's quite popular is being a social scientist. All right, you are not a doctor, and I've seen that a bunch. You know, and they get to put doctor after the name and social scientist. Well, actually, tell me what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have no medical training, but yet you got a doctor because you had enough college.
And another thing, you know, we've seen are videos of military equipment getting shipped, and what they don't really talk about is, hey, these are, you know, railroads going to military bases. So this is how they ship their equipment anyway. So, yeah, that's a nice YouTube clip kind of deal, but what they're not saying is this is normal movement. You know, we do make tanks and Humvees and all that, and we got to ship them somewhere, and you ship them over rails.
Sure. Yeah, the conspiracy theories, you know, one of the big ones, I guess, and it's a global thing, but that they're going to use this to take away more of our freedoms and stuff. I think that's over-worry. Hopefully they won't. We saw what happened after 9/11, though, so I'm not going to say that some rules aren't going to be passed that we're not going to like, or we're, that will further erode at our Constitution. And what we saw with the Patriot Act is, and once they throw something like that and violate the Constitution, they don't seem to pull it back. So that is something for us to watch and be aware of. But I think people need to look at, it's not just happening in America. This is a global pandemic. Every country is having to do this. This morning on our 4 to 7 news strip from all the other countries, Kazakhstan was on the air talking about their shutdown. You know, it's happening everywhere. Every economy is having to do this. And the world's not going to want to stay like this. We're going to want to, fire up the planet again and get it spinning.
Yes, correct. And that's one of the things is, you get these people in Stevens County who I don't think have traveled the globe and talked to every single person in every single country, but they assume just everybody's in on this massive conspiracy. And it's like, what research have you done? How do you know that? And they don't. They're just going off their mindset of the world there.
Seeing a lot of, just around town, seeing a lot of non-social distancing. Yesterday I saw 2 people meet each other on the street and hug. I really kind of just stood back with my mouth open going, really? That's kind of scary.
Well, and the way I look at it is it's going to be very tough to follow every rule to the T there. And I completely get that. It's just going to be tough. We're naturally social creatures, so we do want that hug. We do want to do that kind of deal. So I don't want to get into the game of shaming people. If they see somebody and they end up talking with them, maybe like you said, you stepped a little too close to the car when talking with somebody, kind of deal. So. I don't think we should get into shaming somebody for doing that kind of deal. But
you're right, because it is a personal choice. Do we still have that right to make the personal choice? I'm going to choose to be around this person no matter what the risk is to me. And I think if that choice doesn't harm anyone else close to you, that's a choice you have to decide for yourself. If a family, I'm going to go see my mom and dad, might be the last chance I see them. That's their personal choice, and they should be able to make that. And I don't think the government should be able to stop doing it. Now, to make that choice knowingly and maybe with someone who's infected and then go out and keep spreading it, that's a problem. But
yes, that is definitely a problem there. Or just gathering in groups. I mean, that's another issue there. We're going to see this with these protests, which me personally, I'm not going to disparage somebody for wanting to protest, even in these times. It's still, I guess, they're right, but I hope they're smart about it, because anytime you gather a bunch of people together, you have a chance to spread something there.
Well, and look what's happened now in the past few weeks, we had that church where they decided to ignore the social distancing rules and look at the repercussions that it had. In that one congregation, 67 people in the room, 41 people got it, 17 died. It was ridiculous. So those kind of things are out there happening too. I guess it's like the person who says, it's just the flu, like you said earlier. Do you really want to say it's just the flu and then be careless and take it to your mom?
Yeah, it's not just the flu. It's there's empirical evidence that shows it's a lot worse than that. And another thing I do kind of want to point out: have you seen the people posting videos outside of hospitals and saying, "Oh, look, the parking lot is empty" or something like that? All fake kind of deal.
No, I have not.
And well, it's a movement. It's lovely, and I do want to point out to people that hospitals right now. Now, I have had to go to a lot of hospitals with some family medical issues, and standing on one side of the building or other doesn't prove a point. These are usually large, big buildings, but right now hospitals have they're not allowing visitors like they have before.
Makes a big difference for cars in the parking lot when the visitors aren't allowed. Duh.
Right, exactly. If that ward does have COVID patients, nobody's getting in there. I mean, you're not going to be able to go and stand next to your loved one there because you could then catch the virus and spread it. So cars are going to be cut down. There's no elective surgeries. Things like that. So naturally, these hospitals are going to have emptied out parking lots because people are not going to be parked out there. The elective surgeries, that's a big part of the hospital. And then, people are going to be less inclined to go to that ER or to go to the, hospital for other issues just because they don't want to catch the virus kind of deal. So this whole, and then another thing is, we have a large country. We have a gigantic country, and there are outbreaks in some areas. In other areas, say Stevens County, we don't really have an outbreak right now. We have, less than 10 confirmed cases right now. So obviously, our hospitals are not, are not being swamped or anything like that. But it's a large, spread out country. So you're going to have hot spots, and you're going to have not so hot spots. So to take a video of a hospital and say, well, look, nothing's going on here kind of deal, I don't know what people are expecting. Do they expect ambulances to be parked around the block? It's just a very sheltered, not really logically thinking about things with people taking these videos and just saying, oh, it's a hoax.
Yeah. Do you happen to know, Brandon, is the Colville Hospital or the Chihuahua Hospital actually, capable of caring for a COVID patient, or do they have to be shipped to Spokane?
I actually asked this question to Tri-County Health a few weeks back. I was kind of curious, would they go there? And they say, all our hospitals are basically, they can treat patients if needed kind of deal. Because if you look at it now, they don't want the healthcare system to be, overwhelmed. So they want all their facilities to be able to treat people, right? Because the more facilities you have open that can treat people, the better job you're going to do in saving lives and things like that. So I would imagine, that, a hospital can at least do the kind of first response to it kind of deal. Maybe they do have to be shipped down to Spokane for a ventilator, but they can treat patients. And they're set up to, and they will try kind of deal.
Well, I know for the intubation, the bigger hospitals put them in what they call a negative pressure room, because when they go to put the tube down your throat, everything sprays out, and that's all virus. So they try to do it in these negative pressure rooms so that the people trying to help you aren't just totally infected by it. Very, very, the intubation, scary for the person. They got to knock you out, put you in a coma. Hope you don't, you want to wake up with a tube down your throat? No. And you can. So there's a scary thing there too. You have to be closely monitored. And the team that's going in there to try to save you and do that to you is going to get totally hosed down. So it's scary stuff. You got to realize what. And I was just figuring we probably don't have negative pressure rooms in Chewelah or Colville for that kind of stuff. So you're probably right. It is once they get to, if they're that bad, they probably do get shipped out to Spokane.
Right. So just again, these facilities are treating people that come to them kind of deal. So it's not just like they immediately get taken down to Spokane or things like that. So at least that's what I gathered from the email I got from Tri-County Health. Another thing is that they are hosting Monday media briefings, so we'll have more information each Monday from them, just in terms of the local situation and kind of what's going on around Stevens County. The last briefing they had, we did kind of talk a little bit about just how Stevens County is about a couple weeks behind all this kind of deal, because we're a little more isolated. It's just life moves a little bit slower here, so I know Washington looks really good curve-wise, but we could see more cases in the next couple of weeks, just because that's how slow it kind of rolls out. It doesn't just happen everywhere at once. So we're a little bit behind on this whole thing hitting, I guess.
Well, because it is that 2-week incubation period, 2 day to 2 weeks. So as that's going to be the hard parts for smaller towns or smaller counties, Stevens County and Ferry County here, where we have cases. We were on the later end of getting cases because we're on the outskirts, which means we're going to be the last ones to be safe.
Correct. Yeah. So, and again, rural hospitals, they're the most hit by budgets and stuff. They are already financially strapped, so this does not help things at all. And then you also have to just consider how few hospital beds we have in Stevens County. We may not even get hit very hard at all, but it doesn't take much to kind of, push our hospital capacity, to stress it, I guess.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for all your information, Brandon. Did you have anything else you wanted to share as we head toward 9 o'clock? No. Thanks for letting me ramble on, Scott. I mean, I know I'm just doing a power hour here, but just trying to get some info out there and just let people know kind of what's going on. Most of this info is just, from official sources and whatnot. We just try and relay what we can. I will say we kind of got criticized for posting about that protest at the Capitol, but I mean, we're not condoning that or saying go do that kind of deal. We're just reporting it. I think it's state news, and we should certainly report on that and say, hey, this is going on kind of deal. People are doing this. Were people upset that did they kind of feel like you were condoning it? Is that what the problem was?
I think so. We also had a story on the governor candidate, Lauren Culp, saying that, they should just kind of reopen things back up, and that the governor is being a tyrant and stuff like that. And he's running for governor, so he has his own way of saying things. He has a campaign there. Again, we aren't. I want to say, as a newspaper, we're not pushing this agenda or anything. But if an elected official says that, or a governor candidate says that, I think we need to report on that. Same with this protest. I mean, people are protesting their constitutional rights. I would say we need to report on that. We're just saying simply what is happening in the state.
Sure. Well, not whether it's good or bad, just that this is happening. Well, that's the way news is supposed to be.
So don't shoot the messenger, I guess.
All right. Although when we're doing this, we do throw in some personal comments, and that does get away from strict news when we add in that stuff. I'm talking about some of the things of not taking it seriously, and how it's not a normal flu. The things you said earlier, how our stats from a year are combined from all flus and pneumonias. South Dakota's governor, Noem, opposed the stay-at-home order, and now South Dakota, one of our smaller states, has got some big problems. And there's just an example of now they're afraid their health system might be collapsing, and it says they've got now have 1,168 cases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And South Dakota certainly is not a big state by any stretch of the imagination.
No. So they've got a big hot spot going on. It said over 500 peoples at the Smithfield pork processing plant have tested positive. 500 employees. They employ 3,700 people, and 500 of them, it's shuttered the business. Over 100 non-employees in the area have gotten sick after coming into contact with plant workers. This is an example of how it can get into one place with a lot of people and just devastate it and go crazy. It is so infectious. Please wash your hands.
Yeah, please wash your hands. And I will say, because I do not want to get in the territory of scaring people in their wits. Most people will be asymptomatic to it. They won't feel it. But we're doing this and trying to tell people it's serious, because I personally am worried for those that are vulnerable, that are older or have immune issues or asthma or some kind of issues. Just because you want to go out on a camping trip or you want to go out in the public kind of deal, why should they have to pay the price for that?
There you go. All right, Brandon, thank you very much for your time and sharing today. Brandon Hansen from the Chewelah Independent. Want to give you an invite too, Brandon. If you get some great news and you want to share it on Monday, on those updates you're getting, feel free to give us a ring here and we'll throw you on the air too. We appreciate appreciate you, all the coverage that you and the Independent give to Northern Lights Public Radio. It's awesome.
And thanks for letting me cut out early today, Scott. I am basically the kid cutting class now.
All right. No big deal. All right. Thank you. Once again, round of applause, Brandon Hansen, Chewelah Independent. Thank you, Brandon. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right. And this morning's show brought to you by God-Fearing Brothers.